It's a pleasure to have you join us on another episode of Money Matters on TV360 Nigeria. I'm Okbayemi Owoshemi. We start off with business news. The management of the Nigerian Midstream and Downstream Petroleum Regulatory Authority has issued an operational license to Edo Refinery and Petrochemical Company Limited, or LOGBO, in the Ikpoba Oka local government area of Edo State. The authority's Chief Executive Officer Ahmed Farouk, in a ceremony, handed the certificate to AIPCC, the parent company of Edo Refinery and Petrochemical Company Limited. During the handover, Farouk commended the company for keep achieving the feat and encouraged the firm to do more. Responding on behalf of the AIPCC Energy, the refinery's head of technical operations, Shegun Okeni, said the company will continue to make contributions to the petroleum refinery and gas processing subsector. And in the aviation sector, workers have decided to cancel their planned protest concerning the Nigerian government's demand for 50% revenue collection from the agencies, which was to begin on Wednesday, August 21st, 2024. The Secretary of the Joint Aviation Trade Unions Forum, Nandi Hector, says the protest was altered following a directive from the government aimed at resolving tensions within the aviation sector. Hector clarified the nature of recent protests held by the aviation unions, emphasizing their peaceful intent to highlight the challenges faced by industry agencies nationwide. We'll take a break now and be back with more stories in the corporate world. Stay with us. Welcome back. The National Data Protection Commission, NDPC, has fined Fidelity Bank 555.8 million naira for violating customers' data privacy. The National Commission of the NTDC, Vincent Olatunji, announced the fine at the validation workshop on the Nigerian Data Protection Act General Application and Implementation Directive in Abuja. Olatunji says the fine, which represents the highest fine to be issued by the Commission, was aggravated by the bank's arrogance and poor cooperation during its investigation.
There are penalties which can range from 10 million naira, even up to 2% of the gross earning for the previous year. But approach has been creating awareness, let people know what we are supposed to be doing. And most of the breaches that we have treated, we look at the level of the breach, the impact of the breach, the number of data soldiers affected, and the level of cooperation of the organization that is involved. With that, we'll be able to issue a remediation fee. Since we started, the only time that we issued a major penalty was today on Fidelity Bank. We've issued a fine of about 555 million to Fidelity Bank that they have to pay. Because there were some observed breaches. I will be working with them since 2023, April 2023, when we started the investigation. By the time we finalized, we became arrogant, so we decided to issue a full penalty of them, with about 0.1% of their gross earning for 2023.
The way the bank has conducted its, its affairs in respect of the processing personal data, it was triggered actually by a complaint of a data subject who said that they opened an account for him without his consent at all. And we have evidence that this was done, although they claim that, yes, it was not activated, but it is not about just activating an account that completes the issue of violation. How did you even have access to the data to begin with? It is not whether the account is live or otherwise. How did you begin to send messages? How is it possible for someone to access that account from somewhere? So all of this was taken into consideration.
Buafood PLC has signed an agreement with the Turkish flour milling equipment manufacturer IMAS to build flour wheat and flour milling factories with a cumulative milling capacity of 3,200 tons per day. The Buafood Director of Marketing and Corporate Communications, Adewumi Desalu, said in a statement that the move was part of the company's strategic expansion plans into new markets since its debut on the Nigerian exchange. According to Desalu, the new factories are expected to provide enhanced manufacturing capacity and capabilities to deliver more high-quality products that will contribute towards addressing food challenges in Nigeria. We'll go on a short break now, but when Money Matter returns, we'll be speaking on the remittance inflows into the country. I'll bring you details of this and more after the short break. Welcome back. The Central Bank of Nigeria has reported a significant increase in remittance inflows, reaching $553 million in July 2024. That's a 130% increase from the corresponding period in 2023. In a statement issued on August 20th, the Apex Bank's Acting Director of Corporate Communications, Akama Sidiali, said the figure represents the highest monthly total inflows on record. The statement explained further that the substantial growth in remittance receipts was attributable to policy measures introduced by the CBN to enhance liquidity in Nigeria's foreign exchange market. Ali added that the diaspora remittances have remained a crucial source of foreign exchange for Nigeria, supplementing both foreign direct investment and portfolio investment. Now, joining me to discuss this further is economist Segun Sokpiton. Mr. Sokpiton, many thanks for joining me on the program. Now, the CBN just announced record diaspora remittance for the month of July. But in spite of the growing remittances, Nigeria is still grappling with a forex challenge that is causing the local currency to depreciate. What do you think is the cause of this?
Well, the continued decline or the continued struggles that we see Nigeria, battling with, as far as the exchange rate is concerned, it's the outcome of policy steps, policy measures of both the central bank and the federal government over the last year and 3 months, and it's not going to go away just because a policy was announced last month and maybe the markets are responding to it. Maybe the international diaspora community is responding to that. Before we begin to see the gains of some of these developments, we'll have to be talking, a couple of months down the road before we begin to see, the gains of having these significant increases in diaspora remittances. We would have to wait 2, 3, 4, maybe even 5 months. Now, why do I say this? The diaspora remittances, what they will do is basically to increase liquidity and supply within, the foreign exchange markets. Yeah. So if this happens this month, what we've seen in July, if it's sustained for the month of August and also sustained for September, then you will see a significant appreciation of the naira because of the additional liquidity that this inflows will bring about, bearing in mind that no other policies from government undermines those gains. So it's a mix and a web of policy initiatives that must work together towards achieving the same objective. So this one event will not, make a significant impact or create a sudden change so quickly. We have to see how it plays out and how that works out with other policy measures from the CBN and from the federal government.
Now, what do you think is responsible for the increase in diaspora remittances we are seeing now?
First of all, the markets in Nigeria, the capital markets, and especially the money markets have become, I would say, attractive over the course of the last 3, 4, 5 months as a result of the policy decisions of the CBN, especially monetary policy rates increases, and the fact that risk-free instruments are beginning to see returns, yields that are almost positive in real terms. So that will definitely have an impact on bringing in portfolio investments. And whichever way you want to look at it, diaspora remittances, chunks of diaspora remittances come into the into the markets as foreign portfolio investments. So that's one. I think the other factor might very well be the fact that the news regarding the policy initiatives of the CBN with regards to the Ministry of Finance with regards to the floating of this USD bond, $500 million USD bond, the news in itself will attract flows. It's been in the offing for a while, and I think some people may have caught wind of this and are beginning to move monies in to take advantage of that. So so I think if you combine these two factors, you probably would find the explanation as to why remittances appear to have increased so much. What are the other things that could have affected increase in remittances? The IMTOs, the policies of making the IMTOs more liberal, giving them more headroom to determine rates at which they're trading. All of the policies that the CBN rolled out in the last 6 months would also definitely have helped, and that was the objective of those policies, to attract more remittances, especially diaspora remittances, back into the country. So it looks as if those policies are yielding results in addition to this recent initiative of the Federal Ministry of Finance. So it's all very positive, and one can only hope that it will be sustained so that we can see the benefits over the medium term.
So you agree with me that Nigeria has been grappling with Forex crisis for a period of time. What would you say is the best way out for Nigeria over the current Forex crisis the country has been grappling with?
Look, we keep saying, some of us at least would always remind the central bank and our colleagues in the economy and finance space that no country, no self-respecting country anywhere in the world allows their currency, the exchange rate of their currency, to be determined by free markets. Nobody does it. The United States doesn't do it. The United Kingdom doesn't do it. In Asia, East Asia, China, Japan, these strong economies, strong global economies, they don't do it. They always intervene. So we, until our central bank understands this, and even in messaging, policy messaging and actual communication messaging, they have to make it clear to the markets that they will defend the Naira. You can't tell the markets that you don't intend to defend the Naira. You are running a free market economy. It's willing buyer, willing seller, price discovery. Nobody does that. In modern economic times, you will have to protect your currency, because your currency is not just a medium of exchange. It's a symbol. It's a sovereign symbol of your country. So beyond the economic benefits and the economic considerations, there are so many other psychological issues that are tied to the value of your currency that eventually dovetails into your economic well-being. So I think that one of the reasons that we continue to struggle is that the CBN hasn't taken the bull by the horn to make the sacrifices that need to be made with regards to dipping their hands, if necessary, into our reserves to continue to defend the Naira. Fortunately, there seems to be a move in that direction with the introduction of the Dutch auction system, the recent introduction of the Dutch auction system, because what that will do is that to make liquidity available, directly to consumers of foreign exchange. And you saw with the introduction of that policy at the first auction after the announcement, I think that was last week or was it the week before, the demand was almost $1.2 billion. One auction. Typically in the past, when you had, the Dutch auction running weekly, you would have the week where demand was very high, you would have 200 million thereabouts, being the demanded figure. But as it stands now, because there's so much latent demand, you basically saw that heavy volume that we saw. So we need more of this from the CBN if we're going to have a stable exchange rate.
Let's talk about the Central Bank of Nigeria's policy measures. So, like, how do recent policy measures such as licensing new IMTOs and the willing buyer, willing seller model specifically impact remittances in the country?
Well, the IMTO policies are exactly why we're beginning to see, this increases. And those we've all, I think every watcher of the markets and watcher of the economy has applauded those measures by the CBN, and they have to sustain it and ensure that there's consistency along those lines for long enough for us to continue to see the gains and the benefits of that. We don't want to see any somersaults or any reversals of these policies. However, the willing buyer, willing seller model, like I just said, is potentially problematic because what you are saying by signaling to the market is that you will allow the markets determine the value of the currency. That cannot augur well for the well-being of our economy. I understand that we were pressured. The unencumbered portion of our reserves may be rather lean, and that may be why there's a bit of reluctance on the part of the CBN to aggressively and publicly position itself as defending the naira. The capacity may be said not to be there, but that is exactly why there has to be some serious concerted effort on the part of the government, moving away from the CBN now, to look into the issue of revenue leakages so that we can, shore up our reserves and ensure that we can protect our currency, we can defend our currency. So the willing buyer, willing seller thing, I'm not a fan of it at all. I think, just from looking around the world and seeing what other people do, it's just simply not the way to go. You've got to defend your currency when it becomes necessary. We've seen Japan. Japan did that very recently. I think China also did that very recently, intervened in the markets to ensure that their currency did not fall below a certain threshold. So I don't see the positive impact that, saying you are running a willing buyer, willing seller model would have on the markets. Investors who will bring in their hard-earned foreign exchange capital into this country want to know that the markets are stable and that when it is time for them to repatriate either their profit or their capital, that they will access funds at a rate that is, easy to predict and determine. So if you say to the markets that you are going to leave, your exchange rates to the vagaries of the market, portfolio investors will certainly avoid you. Remittances may not come because people will not have the confidence that they can access this money when they need them. So the IMTO policy, fantastic. Willing buyer, willing seller, not so much. I think we've got to be careful with that and make sure that we're very moderated in our approach and in our messaging with regards to that and the markets.
In what ways do these policy measures enhance liquidity in Nigeria's foreign exchange market?
The more people believe that the markets are stable and steady and rates are predictable, whatever the exchange rate might be, it needs to be predictable. It could be 1,400, but let it be 1,400. Let the swings and the changes not be wild. Let's not have too much volatility. So if you are trending at 1,400, let's just make sure that plus or minus 5 naira, 10 naira, we're stable. Then you will see liquidity improve. So again, like I said, if you are signaling the market and you're saying willing buyer, willing seller, you're going to scare investors away and liquidity will be hampered. So stability of policy, consistency of policy, are absolutely critical to ensuring that in the short to medium term, you can shore up the liquidity, of the market and ensure that the market is healthy in terms of supply. So again, we can only just appeal that the central bank continues to remain consistent. The policy of intervening in the markets that have just recently been introduced must be sustained. We must not see a policy reversal in that regard. And you will see that already, the Naira is beginning to regain value. Since that announcement was made, we've seen, a gain of almost between 80 to 100 Naira in just a 2-week period. So I think it's important that these policies are sustained so that we can have the stability we desperately need and the Naira can recover.
Can you explain the significance of the record $553 million in remittances for Nigeria's economy?
563, 533, let's say $500 million in 1 month. If you multiply that by 10, you're talking 5 billion. So I would say that it's a good development, but we're nowhere near where we need to be. Diaspora remittances have trended at a point, in the past at about $20 billion, $21 billion, $19 billion, which would amount to somewhere between $1.5 to $2 billion per month. So it's very good news that, the numbers are growing the way they are compared to where we were last year, a year from now, in the past, a year ago. But we still have some way to go. And I think that the main thing for us to achieve, to continue to, move in this trajectory is to be consistent with the policies that have brought us here. We don't want to see any more policy somersaults. If we continue to see that, if we continue to see consistency, those numbers will pick up. And the only impact that it will have is that it will improve the liquidity of the markets and help the value and help the Naira to regain value, which, again, multiply effects, which will eventually dovetail into inflation and helping reflate the economy and bringing price of goods and services down as we desperately need. So all of this ties into the cost of living crisis that we've been talking about for too long now, So let's ensure that we maintain this so that Naira can regain value, so that we can begin to see prices of goods and services significantly come down.
There's been much talks about the role that diaspora remittances play in Nigeria's economy. Now, when compared to other sources of foreign exchange, like foreign direct investment and portfolio investment, what role exactly does diaspora remittances play in Nigeria's economy?
Diaspora remittances are more liquid, more readily accessible. So I will say, if I wanted to rate them, I would say diaspora remittances, also they're stable because they're coming from people with a vested interest, emotional ties to the country, who have families down here. So those monies will come. What you want to do is to move, the motivation, the motives for those monies coming into the country, move them away from just subsistence, family sustenance, and all of that, and move them into actual economic activity and a quest for return on investment. So diaspora remittances are stable. I would say they're liquid. They can come in very quickly and within a short period of time. And then you've got foreign portfolio investors, who some people will say it's hot money. Those ones will only come when they see returns, and any small signal that the market has any kind of instability or any kind of issue, they're gone. They take flight very quickly. So that is not the source of liquidity that you want to hinge the fortunes of your economy on. You can use that as a temporary measure to shore up the value of your currency, but you have to be moving more towards foreign direct investments, which are more long-term in nature. So in terms of nearness to cash, I would say remittances, foreign portfolio investors, and the foreign direct investments. Of course, there are a number of other sources of inflows into the country, export proceeds being one, and a lot of the other smaller, grants, loans, and what have you. So all of this put together, will consist of the mix of liquidity in the market. So that's where remittances are absolutely critical because, it's a steady base. You've got Nigerians and more of them are moving out as a result of the Japa syndrome. So, it's very important that we're deliberate about grooming that particular source of inflows and source of liquidity and ensuring that it remains not only consistent, but continues to grow significantly over the next year or two.
Well, how do you think the CBN's efforts to double formal remittances receipts within a year impacts the broader economic landscape of Nigeria?
I think they don't need to double it. I think they need to triple it, and I think that can happen. So the bond issue that they've just launched is a very good step. We've got to come up with more creative ways of attracting, remittances from our diaspora community. We've got, a potentially very healthy real estate sector. We've got an agricultural sector that is desperately in need of high volume funding, from outside the country. There are a lot of opportunities in different sectors of the economy. The CBN working with other arms and organs of the government needs to come up with creative solutions, creative instruments that will attract these remittances and grow them aggressively. So it's a good step. This bond that has been recently issued is a good step, but we've got to see more of things like this more frequently, more consistently to attract this funding more.
Well, economist Segun Shokpito, many thanks for lending your thoughts on the program. Well, that's it on this episode of the program. Many thanks for joining us. I am Okpeyemi Owosheni. See you next time.